At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps.
About your movie, why I made the curator's pick of the Hollywood Fringe Festival. Community, heart, you're doing it.
Observations TFR, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday.
What's going on, people? Welcome to episode 77 of hashtag Observations TFR. This is Martin Luther King. Excuse me. Let's make this more reverent. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday today, right? And what also this is Freakin Fridays on hashtag Observations TFR. And the title of the show is The Siege Reckoning. There will be a siege reckoning. Smash the share button. Smash the like button. Tag 5 of your friends in this broadcast because this is an important broadcast on Martin Luther King's birthday. We are simulcasting on Periscope, Vimeo, FB on You Found the Spot group page, and on YouTube on You Found the Spot on YouTube and the Film Review Life channel. So we're simulcasting on so many different places, you know what I'm saying? This is how we do here, right? With the events which have taken place these last 2 weeks, what will be the siege reckoning, the human reckoning for the actions of enemies of the state domestic? With this being Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, what can we learn from King's last years, where he became aware of social economic disparities American blacks faced and still face today? Who among the Congressional Black Caucus are so-called representatives in Washington are strong enough to pick up the calls to see American blacks made whole? Are the ones who will break with Nancy Pelosi to put American black agenda front and center? The phone lines are open, 213-943-3358, 213-943-3358. We are interested in your opinions today on these questions and more topics that we are going to hit on Martin Luther King's birthday. 213-943-3358. If you want to get in on the conversation, once you dial in, listen to the prompts on Blog Talk, and then click 1, and that will let us know that you want to come in. But before we go any further, I need to introduce my special guest host, my sister Tanya M. Congress. How's everything going for you this morning on Martin Luther King's birthday?
Well, everything is going pretty good this morning. I had a few mishaps, like we do, because we're always rushing. But things are good. I had a decent sleep. Today I have my gala apple cut up. I have some fresh ginger sliced and cut up there. I almost took my finger with it this morning. And I have, every day is educational for me. Every day is educational. There's always something new, right? Not just here on the show. I always learn something new here, even as we're doing the show. But this is what I learned today. You ready for it? I always got something funny for you. So I have these ginger sticks, right? I've never had ginger sticks before. I I read about the ginger sticks. I use ginger powder, but I've never had the ginger sticks. So I dropped the ginger stick in my coffee, and I got cream in the coffee. I noticed the stick isn't breaking down any. It's still hard, so it's soaking in the coffee, right? So I pick the stick up, and I take a little bite of the stick. Guess what I learned? The stick is not meant to be eaten that way, and I'm going to tell you why. My mouth, up until when Dee started talking, my mouth was blazing on fire. I drank a little bit of water that wasn't helping. So those sticks are not meant to be eaten at all. They're meant to soak in the coffee or the tea that you're soaking them in. They are not edible. That's what I learned today. How you doing?
I'm doing as well as can be expected under the circumstances of this virus we're under. We want to say what's up to everyone watching us on YouTube, on Periscope, on Vimeo, on Facebook. I see that John Caldwell is watching. He chimed in right here. He showed up as watching, so we want to say what's up to him this morning, right? So look, before we get started, that's kind of like that wasabi. I remember we were at Hunans, I think. And I was eating some of the dish that they had prepared, and it was this green stuff, and I had, by mistake, I was eating the chicken, and by mistake I had took a little bit of that in, but I wasn't aware of it. But then all of a sudden something was burning the roof of my mouth all the way up into my nose, and I almost panicked because wasabi comes in, it burns, and then it'll go away, but I wasn't used to wasabi. So it's the same thing. All right, people.
Wait,
So
mate, before you go on,
Uh-huh.
I gotta share this with the people. So Crazy D has always been a jokester, a prankster, as far as I'm concerned. He's been a prankster towards me. So the story doesn't end there, because once he had that experience, it was around the holiday time. We were having dinner here, and we sitting at the dining room table. He said, "Yeah, I want you to try this. This is really good. I want you to try it." So I had never had wasabi before. I thought it was what do you call it? That you make out of avocados, guacamole. I thought it was guacamole. I said, but it's awful light. It's kind of light to be guacamole. And so I get a little bit. He said, put a little bit more on there. There's a little bit more on the fork. Just a little bit more. So I wasn't chasing. At least he had it on next to a piece of chicken. This one in my mouth raw, like all of it was wasabi. And only thing I can say is I felt like my head was gonna pop off. And he, of course, he was very humored by my reaction, because I was like, "Whoa!" It was almost like, "What am I gonna do? What can I do here? I can't think now." But yeah, it's very serious. But I like wasabi. I like wasabi.
Chickpeas and wasabi. If you've never had chickpeas and wasabi, every time you take a bite, it lights you up, and it's the crunch of the chickpeas. Really good. So let's get started, because we have a jam-packed show. We're going to be talking about Martin Luther King, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. But you know how we do. We start with the memes to get the car warmed up. Like it's a winter's day, and you know you got all the snow on the back, and you had to get the car warmed up, get the exhaust going so that the carbon monoxide juice runs out the muffler before you try to back out and drive in the middle of the winter. 213-943-3358. Let people know that we are on. Smash the share button. Smash the like button. Smash the like button. And smash, wherever you are watching us, smash that follow, connect, subscribe, etc. Okay, so let's get started. Let's get started with the first meme of the day, which we're going to start out light. You know, it's Martin Luther King's birthday. We're going to start out light. So this meme right here, I saw this and I said, let me put this up because this is funny. All right, this is a funny meme, right? So let's bring this up. All right. Now, you see who this is, right? That's Michael B. Jordan to the right. And to the left, that's Cleveland's own Steve Harvey, right? And what does the meme say? I can't unsee this. I can't unsee this. So let me bring it a little bigger so that you can see what can't be unseen. These two dudes look like they're twins. I can't unsee this. Hilarious. It's going all over the internet this morning, right? Hilarious. And I said, let me grab this to warm up. You know, we're going to warm up slowly. Smash the share button, smash the like button. It's Martin Luther King's birthday. And like we said, we have to have a little levity as we are going through these trying times that we are going through. Okay. So here's another meme. Here's a meme that's very interesting. Right? At the top is a moose, and at the bottom is a young lady with these eyelashes, right? We were just speaking of eyelashes last show, so I figured this would be interesting. So what does this meme say at the top? Can anyone guess her animal spirit? Can anyone guess her animal spirit? I thought that was hilarious as we warm up.
That's funny.
Now, speaking of eyelashes, can't believe it. Of eyelashes. Let me go back and get this real quick. Unbelievable. As I X'd it out, I'm going to tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to find it again. All right, here we go. So this meme says, good men still exist, but your eyelashes will not let you see them, beloved. Good men still exist, but your eyelashes will not let you see them, beloved. That was a little Ayala Van Zandt, beloved. Matter of fact, Ayala Van Zandt is ending her show on OWN, it said, because she's getting tired of the disrespect, okay? She's getting tired of disrespect, but I'm just thinking, like, since Discovery Channel got it, and it's kind of like discovering animals, maybe she's not interested in being considered an animal on Discovery Channel. But anyway, here we go.
I like to say something about the lashes.
Okay, go ahead.
For young ladies who are watching, I just want to give you a little tip on things regarding those. Now, some of those, like the lashes that other meme had, those lashes are for shows, like when you're doing shows and you're doing photo ops and doing photo shoots, because they really don't come across as that dramatic when a photographer is taking you at a distance. So they actually just accentuate your eyes, but they're not meant to be worn every day. You put these on in the morning. You want to go with something more natural. That's number one. Number two, you have to be mindful of the presentation that you're making to men with regards to makeup as a whole. Thing behind that, how we were taught in ancient times how to make up our faces for the purpose of being seducers of men. So it's very important that the lashes that you choose is not always having where you're not always looking like a seductress or a witch. Somebody looks in your eyes, they feel enchanted. That's not the purpose of you wearing it. The purpose of the makeup is just to accentuate the beauty you already have, or add some if you don't have much. But all of that dramatic stuff where because I've walked in that before, so I know exactly what that is. When somebody is looking at you and you don't even have to have a conversation with them, you're talking with your eyes the whole time. That is whorish. All right. So I know that might not sit well with a lot of people, but I'm here to tell the truth. And I'm telling you, you're not going to get any man that speaks to you in that state while you're out somewhere. His mind is only in one place while he's looking in your eyes. It's only one place that his mind is at. You ain't going to catch no husband like that. Just thought I'd let you know.
Okay. So you know that the inauguration is next week, right? It's on January 20th, right? But guess what is happening the day after? This was put up by Boyce Watkins. March for Reparations, Washington, D.C., January 21st, 2021, 12 p.m. Eastern, right? We're getting ready to have the rubber hit the road now. Now, let's set this up. There's accelerationists, anarchists all kinds of different groups that believe in the fall of the state that are going to be converging on Washington, D.C., just like they did during the siege last week on January 6th, right? So the next day, March for Reparations. Not only will the National Guard still be there, but so will some of the insurgents and some of the accelerationist anarchists will still be there. Now, my question is, they're having this march. Do they have the protection to go along with this? I'm sure this march was scheduled, months ahead of time, at least about 6 months ahead of time. But we are in a different time now. We are seeing something else from those who usually would cover their faces. They're no longer covering their faces. We talked about that earlier in the week, right? And all last week in nauseum. So this is a different time. March for Reparations happening the day after the inauguration in Washington, D.C. It just questions, are you ready? Do you have the protection necessary to go into that? Now, this comes from J. Cool, which is kind of the antithesis of what we just put up here. These Negroes will help the feds build a case before they help you build the empire. These Negroes will help the feds build a case before they help you build an empire. Is that true? Oh, we're starting to warm up. We're starting to warm up now. The rubber is about to hit the road, right? The rubber is about to hit the road. All right. So as we know, this is Martin Luther King's birthday, right? The celebration, the holiday is going to be commemorated on Monday, but this is his actual birthday, January 15th, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Now, this is an image from the March on Washington. How old, look up, Tanya, how old would Martin Luther King be today? How old would Martin Luther King be today? Smash the share button, smash the like button. We are going places today. So how old would Martin Luther King be today?
He would be 92 years old today.
Martin Luther King, struck down at 39 years, would be 92 years old today, right? Now, this is the March on Washington, right? And that's what this image is. You see, as far as you can see, you see people of all races, not just one race. Now, there is some context to this. We have to build context because a lot of times they tell you about the March on Washington, but they don't tell you about A. Philip Randolph, right? A. Philip Randolph, right? January 25th, 1941, A. Philip Randolph was organizing a march on Washington that would take place January 25th, 1941, to end discrimination within defense workers in the factory where that was concerned, and to end war, because he said that if we go and fight this war against Germany and it doesn't not only end fascism, Nazism, and end racism, and end the inequities of economic inequities, then it's really done for naught. And guess what? They fought the war with Germany, and it really did not end. It really did not end fascism, racism, social, economic disparities between different groups of people. Tell them who A. Philip Randolph is, Tanya. A. Philip Randolph. We have to give context. You have to go back. Often things are 20 years back before they fully manifest 20 years later. So it's very important. Who was A. Philip Randolph?
Asa Philip Randolph was an American labor unionist, civil rights activist, and socialist politician. In 1925, he organized and led the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, the first predominantly African American labor union.
Those were great jobs back then, being a Pullman porter on the trains, right? So going through this, he ran into all types of people, because he worked in the public, right? So in 1941, January 25th, 1941, this was not going to be a nice march, right? This march was coming to demand the end to racist practices of hiring anyone else other than American blacks in the jobs. Kind of like what the unions did later. But to understand what was happening, you have to look at a movie that was created, that was produced, filmed, edited, and released in 1939 called The Confessions of a Nazi Spy. The Confessions of a Nazi Spy. Edward G. Robinson stars as the FBI agent that gets this confessions, the many confessions of this Nazi spy, this Nazi sympathizer in the United States, to break up the plan of Nazi Germany to try to collapse America's factory systems through strategic bombing, right? And what you find is they did not let American blacks into the factory system. They were taking in Germans who were defecting from Germany back in 1939 because the Nazi Party came to power. So they found that they had agent provocateurs within that, right? So to understand what was happening during that time when A. Philip Randolph was like, we're going over here and this is not going to be a nice march. We might even tear something up in Washington because we need this to stop and start to employ American blacks in these positions and quit bringing in immigrants to take our place. Do you understand the common thread that keeps going through? Now we're hearing about 11,000 dreamers, 11 million dreamers, excuse me. 90,000 refugees a year coming in, 500,000 Indians from India coming in, and where will they be vying for jobs? Why, by gosh, where the American blacks are vying for jobs, because this is a continuing thing. So look, January 25th, 1941, just before the march was going to happen, the day before, FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, met with A. Philip Randolph and signed an executive order 8802, which ended so-called segregation or discrimination of blacks, right? So tell us about the march that was supposed to happen January 25th, 1941. Tanya, we had to bring context, right? Because while this was going on, a young theologian was coming up through the ranks. And by 1957, the next proposed March on Washington by A. Philip Randolph, a young theologian by the name of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was already in the spotlight, already in the place, and these two people came together. So give the context and the information on that.
Okay, so first of all, in order to even have the march on Washington, an executive order had to be signed by what's it says Franklin D. Roosevelt. Um, you know, that was in 1941, and it banned discrimination in defense industries during World War II, and the group then successfully pressured President Truman to issue Executive Order 9901 in 1948, ending segregation in the armed forces. So that that March on Washington it had to be signed by executive order after that. 1963, Randolph was the head of the March on Washington, which was organized by Bayard Rustin, at which Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his I Have a Dream speech. Randolph inspired the Freedom Budget, sometimes called the Randolph Freedom Budget, which aimed to deal with the economic problems facing the Black community. It was published by the Randolph Institute in January 1967 as a freedom budget for all Americans.
So you see, there were people working together to make this happen. When Martin Luther King came on the scene and he was working and he did the bus boycott, A. Philip Randolph was doing another march in 1957 to end discrimination in another area and the civil rights movement was doing a march for freedom. They merged the two marches together, and in 1963 the March on Washington took place. This is where this picture is taken, right? And it was the ability of Martin Luther King to be able to bring different factions together. SNCC, SCLC, A. Philip Randolph's branch of it. All the various different organizations coming together to make this happen, along with the ACLU coming together, bringing in the Caucasians in to bring this together, right? Soon after that, though, these different combinations started to strain and they broke apart because there is a such thing as disproportionate poverty amongst groups of people, right? That's what it is. It's disproportionate poverty amongst groups of people. And we know Martin Luther King Day is every day with us because we open up with Martin Luther King in 1967, 1968, giving a speech that he was working on to deliver in front of a larger audience, where he talks about the immigration and giving people loans who were immigrants to do things that American blacks could do if you weren't constantly bringing in immigrants. Now, here's something that is a very interesting and very important development. You know who this is. This is Bill Gates. And what does the meme say? The meme reads, America's biggest owner of farmland is now Bill Gates.
Wow.
America's biggest owner of farmland is now Bill Gates. Do we see what we see going on? Now, so if they have control of the farmland, how are you going to go and apply the trade that we were originally known to do? How are you going to sustain your family if there are so-called food shortages? Next meme here. Very important. Where the car is on the road now, right? The rubber is hitting the road, right? Question. Why are certain groups allowed to bring guns to peaceful protests? Why are certain groups allowed to bring guns to peaceful protests? I thought that was a good meme to look at. Now, we're getting to it. Here we go. All right. Now, remember I said that the media has only been showing you Caucasian troops in Washington. And I told you I saw this meme yesterday, so I said I would bring it up. This meme shows black soldiers in the rotunda, real patriots, it reads, National Guardsmen now protecting the Capitol. They took this picture with Rosa Parks' statue. They took this picture with Rosa Parks' statue. Now, you wouldn't know by the media that there is anyone black there in the armed forces protecting the Capitol, right? That one statue alone is worth protecting the whole rotunda against insurgents, right? So here we go. It would be a PR nightmare and a public embarrassment if the branches of the military admit to the servicemen participating in the overthrow on Capitol Hill in Washington last week. It would be a PR nightmare and a public embarrassment if the branches of the military admitted to the former and active servicemen participating in the overthrow on Capitol Hill in Washington last week. You see, we're moving. Here we go. All right. Now, this is where the rubber is hitting the road. Smash the share button, smash the like button. The car is going to like 60 and a 75 and a 35 right now. Here we go. Now, everyone's seen this noose, gallows and noose placed up. They even had the pirate Skull and Bones. Anyway, Skull and Bones Trump and the Capitol, right? Now, what does the meme read? What does the meme read? How the Turner Diaries inspires white supremacy. How the Turner Diaries inspires white supremacy. Now, so what are the Turner Diaries? What are the Turner Diaries? Now, you have to give it to Yahoo News, because Yahoo News is the one that broke that the accelerationists were more than willing to spread COVID, especially if they caught it through spray bottles, through spitting on different stationary items that people would touch and then touch their face, touch their eyes. And it's no wonder that the number of cases have increased. So you have to give it up to Yahoo News, but they are not covering or giving Yahoo News its props. So let's go through this article real quick, Tanya. let's read this article. Start to read the article. This is very important for people to know what the Turner Diaries are.
In the Turner Diaries, a group of white supremacists attacked the Capitol in an effort to overthrow the U.S. government. Dozens are killed in the assault, including members of Congress and their staffers. But in the insurrectionists' view, the greater victory is symbolic. The real value of all of our attacks today lies in the psychological impact, not the immediate casualties, man. The 1978 novel's narrator, Earl Turner, writes in his diary, "They learned this afternoon that not one of them is beyond our reach." Since its publication by neo-Nazi leader William Luther Pierce, the Turner Diaries has become one of the most influential texts among white nationalists and right-wing extremists. It has inspired dozens of acts of violence and has been held up as a blueprint for how to enact a violent insurrection.
Okay, hold up right there before we continue. Now, you know how I say, black folks watch movies and then they take them literally and take them serious, right? They take them seriously and they take them literally to actually believe that that's exactly how something happened. Well, we find out that Caucasians that believe in this accelerationism, this white supremacy, read literature and take it literally, seriously, literally, and then try to reenact what they see in books. And what did the author of the Turner Diaries, the fictitious writer of the Turner Diaries, say? They realized that not one of them are above being touched. Let's continue on. This is very interesting. You have to understand what you are seeing. There's some information that, as the article goes down, that we have mentioned right here on this show. When you study the various types of white supremacists, we did a whole show on it last year. When you study the various types of white supremacists, you find out something about them. So we're going to read through, and when we get to that point, we're going to break in between. But smash the share button, smash the like button, tag your people, because you need to have this information as an American black person. 213-943-3358. The phone lines are open. Continue on.
Last week, as rioters broke into the Capitol incited by President Donald Trump, some saw frightening parallels with the events described in the novel. Experts who track rhetoric on the far right say the book has long been a reference point for white supremacists who see the government as an oppressive force to be overthrown. Many of the ideas that are central to the Turner Diaries have turned into memes and proliferated online and right-wing media, said Cassie Miller, a senior research analyst at the Southern Poverty Law Center. There are books that are required reading for people who are enmeshed in the movement, and the Turner Diaries is at the top of the list. On social media and in militant chat rooms on sites like 4chan, Telegram, and Stormfront, some users celebrated last week's violence and likened it to the Day of the Rope, a mass hanging that occurs in the Turner Diary. Some rioters who live streamed the assault made references to hanging politicians and strung up nooses and erected a gallows outside the Capitol.
Okay, so before you continue, this is what this image represents. This is imagery from out of this book called the Turner Diary. So what we find out about people, that people are similar, right? Now, remember, A. Philip Randolph was coming to Washington in 1941 to demand the end to discrimination. What are these jokers? What did these jokers come to Washington for? to act out scenes from the Turner Diaries to do what? To collapse the United States government by sieging the Capitol, possibly capturing members of the Senate and the House and hanging them. But on January 21st, those people who are coming out there for March for Reparations may be treated harsher than those who sieged last Wednesday.
Absolutely.
See, we're putting this together. We have to put the dots together for you. So you see, this is out of a movie, out of a book that they turned into a movie. They had their cameras and they were taking it and they could turn it into a documentary. A movie about how they came so close. But you know, it was the black man, it was the black officer, Eugene. He led them away from him. I know. How do you feel being fooled by an American black man? I wonder how you feel about that. You were right there, but he made you chase him because he knew, like a non-thinking bloodhound, the only thing that you know is to follow the scent of something that is usually hunted. And the American black man is usually hunted by you. And just like a simple animal, a bloodhound, you were that simple to follow him when you could have, he took you left when you could have turned right. What's up to Miss Ash? I see she's on YouTube this morning, right? Smash the share button, smash the like button, because we are dropping information. We are connecting the dots. Let's continue on.
On Monday, Amazon removed the novel from its website. It had previously been available for purchase with a disclaimer identifying it as a racist white supremacist fantasy that had inspired domestic terrorists. As a bookseller, we think it is important to offer this infamous work because of its historical significance and educational role in the understanding and prevention of racism and acts of terrorism, the note said. The book had also disappeared from AA Books, a used and rare book site owned by Amazon. Amazon, which also removed QAnon products and books from its site and suspended Parler from its web service, declined to comment on why it had taken down the Turner Diaries. Part of the book's appeal to right-wing radical groups stems from its seemingly far-fetched plot in which a small group of insurgents terrorizes the most powerful people in the world with attacks that rally other white people to the cause. Though it's a work of fiction rather than an ideological treatise or tactical manual, many domestic terrorists have tried to emulate the attacks in the book.
Okay.
So
wait. Pause that for a minute. So you see, they were tolerant of white supremacist groups as long as they were attacking Negroes. But as soon as they started to, and remember now, there are certain people in the United States government that teased white supremacists and flirted with white supremacy. Some of the very people who you have heard flirt with white supremacy over the years, especially during the Obama years. And we've talked about Obama and how Obama was really just useless for American blacks, but especially during the Obama years, and now they are speaking against the very people who insurged that they usually are sympathetic to. But they were only sympathetic to him when they were threatening American black people. But now that they started threatening the system, now they've been saying for years in these books that they wanted to collapse the state. The anarchists want to collapse the state, and the accelerationists want to collapse the states. The accelerationists want to collapse the state to make a neo-Nazi state. The anarchists want to collapse the state so anything goes. Whatever you want to do, you make your own law. Well, that's anarchy. Well, I might choose to say that I don't want to see any black people around me as an anarchist. And we know that the accelerationists are about eliminating black people, so they'll come together. We talked about that in nauseam. You see, you think that this is a joke, but when you study white supremacy, when you've been studying white supremacy, you realize certain things. So let's continue on. Smash the share button, smash the like button. Smash the share button, smash the like button. Tag 5 people in this. Let people know that this broadcast is on. This simulcast is on. This is information that will save your life. You have to know what type of white supremacists you are dealing with. Your very friends that you think that you have friends are not your friends. So let's continue on.
Over the decades, the novel has been cited as inspiration in at least 40 terrorist attacks and hate crimes, including the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing, according to J.M. Berger, a researcher and analyst who studies extremist activities in the United States. We see a lot of cases where people have taken some element of the book and tried to play them out, Berger said. The Turner Diaries is part of the background noise that created this moment. Fiction is often fed into right-wing propaganda movements, said Seward Darby, author of Sisters in Hate, a book about women in the white nationalist movement. In addition to the Turner Diaries, influential right-wing novels include Jean Raspel's The Camp of the Saints, a dystopian depiction of immigrants overrunning Europe, and Hunter, another novel by Pierce that valorizes a white supremacist who targets interracial couples and civil rights activists. Before the internet, that was how they disseminated a lot of information, Darby said. What you've seen is a lot of these texts finding new life online. Pierce, a physicist who grew up in Texas, was radicalized in the 1960s, and he joined the American Nazi Party. He later formed his own group, the National Alliance, which called for an all-white homeland and the genocide of Jews and other races. Pierce led the organization until his death in 2002, but his lasting influence took hold through his fiction. He began publishing the Turner Diaries in 1975 as a serial in the group's newspaper, Attack. The narrative, presented as found diary entries, follows white people who form terrorist cells and start a race war. The attacks they launch include a bombing of FBI headquarters, a mortar attack on the Capitol, and the Day of the Rope, in which race traitors are lynched, including the politicians, lawyers, businessmen, TV newscasters, newspaper reporters, editors, judges, the teachers, the school officials, the civic leaders, and bureaucrats, and the preachers. Oh, boy.
Okay.
Eventually.
So, hold on. So, some of us believe that the white supremacist groups are only against the opposite race, which would be American black, everybody else for themselves, but American black. But really, if you are not for their cause and you are considered Caucasian, you are on their list for extermination, for elimination. No reprogramming, just elimination. You see? And we told you this. I was on a show And I was telling people, and they were looking, their eyes were like wide as teacups. I said, they're not, when you study white supremacy, they're not just against the race that they are against or the group of people that they are against. They are against the people that want to coexist with the people that they are against. They are against their own people who want to kick it and be in hip hop. And then think about that. There's people who are in, there are black long hair, black haired witches that are into hip hop, and they have their own type of bigotry because they have white fragility, but they also have the complexion for the protection. So they have their own kind of racism, right? Their own type of bigotry that's just one step away from being white supremacists. But they're listening to hip hop and they're kicking it, and they say, yeah, we like to listen to the music all the way back to the R&B and the rock and roll. Why were they breaking rock and roll records? They weren't breaking rock and roll records. They weren't breaking them because they necessarily didn't like the music. They were breaking them because their kids were starting to get close to American blacks. And they didn't want that. And that's a whole nother subset of racism, right? So you're dealing with different types of racism. You're dealing with people who have prejudice, people who are bigots, people who are racist, people who are white supremacists, people who are in active groups to take that white supremacy and spread it globally through actions and insurrections like what you saw at the Capitol last week. You have to know what you're dealing with. All Caucasians are racist in one way or the other. That's the way it is. Let's continue on. This is very important. This is smash the share button, smash the like button.
Let's see where I stopped. Okay. Pierce published the chapters as a full novel in 1978 under the pen name Andrew McDonald, and right-winged organizations seized on the story's message that violence was a necessary means to protect whites. Since its publication, the book has been sold at gun shows and circulated online, and has frequently been tied to domestic terrorist attacks and racist violence. In the 1980s, a white supremacist group called itself The Order and was closely modeled on an organization in the novel. Timothy McVeigh, one of the architects of the Oklahoma City bombing, had pages of this novel in his truck. One of the men who carried out the murder of a black man in Texas in 1998 cited the Turner Diaries. So did a terrorist in Britain who targeted black people and gay people in 1999 with shrapnel bombs, killing 3 and injuring some 140. More recently, the book has cropped up online in messages posted by far-right groups like the Proud Boys, and has been referenced by extremists who sought to overturn the presidential election. A man in Staten Island was arrested in November after posting violent messages that referenced the Turner Diaries, including an anti-Semitic threat directed at Senator Chuck Schumer, and a message about his desire to blow up an FBI building. Scholars and historians have expressed concern about the book's availability in the United States. As more social media networks crack down on hate speech and calls to violence, some extremists may turn to books as a way to spread their ideology. Before it was removed from Amazon, the Turner Diaries had received hundreds of 5-star reviews from readers extolling its message. One edition was previously for sale at $24, was published by National Vanguard Books, the publishing operation of a white supremacist group. The historian Kathleen Belew, author of Bring the War Home, The White Power Movement and Paramilitary America, said that while the novel is valuable as a lens for understanding the motivations of white nationalists, it must be put in context when it is read and studied. It's a book that has been used to kill a lot of people over and over and over, she said. People should understand that's what it is. The article originally appeared in the New York Times. This article.
That's right, people. So look, you thought that the Proud Boys was a game. You thought that the Boogaloo Boys or the Hula Boys or whatever they call themselves to wear the Hawaiian shirts were just a game. It was a game, and some of the people at the protest for George Floyd, let them walk right alongside you with their weapons. What if they were setting up a coup d'etat? What if they were setting up to mow down a bunch of people as a solo actor, or a bunch of 12 or 6? You let them walk right with you and say, we're just here to be security for you, but you don't know anything about these books. What they say? What they say? They say if you want to keep something from a college student, put it up on a bulletin board. They're going to walk right past it. And you want to keep something from a black person, put it in a book. Look, I'm going to say this again so this will be clear and so you understand. Some of us voting for Biden did not stop racism because Biden is a racist. If you ignored that, then you would be, in my opinion, if some of us ignored that and voted anyway, some of us are part of the problem, are traitors to American black advancement. Have they talked anything since they got in? Anything about American black? No, but we heard the tape where he was dazzling them girls like a pimp, and Al Sharpton came out and said, he was pretty receptive to what we had to say, but he was like, look here, motherfuckers. I mean, he might as well have just, you had to have just a little levity, but he was, we played that last week. He was talking to them like they were children, and Al Sharpton says he was receptive. That's the wrong language. He was on board with what we were talking about because we helped elect him. But when you know that you cheated, see the reason why now, I'm going to say this again. I'm going to make this clear. The election was a cheat, okay? It was just a cheat, right? Anyone who knows how election goes knows that was a cheat, okay? And you know who else knows that it was a cheat? Those people who sieged on the Capitol last Wednesday. But that's not good for you as an American black person because they are there to collapse the state. Now, they're going to stand in front of 50 state capitals, and no one knows what's going to happen during the inaugural, right, on the 20th. And no one knows if there will be anything there that's of any remembrance to have an event about reparations the next day. And are you protected? Do you have the security to do a march about reparations? We are in a different time. They are not covering their faces. The people who are charged and who are arrested, who are charged and who are convicted and go to prison, they will be considered their martyrs. What do you got to say before we go forward with some more memes?
Over and over again, we have stated different things, and I my thing is that some of you, and blast this out to everybody. Hit share, hit like, get it out to everybody, especially those that you don't think want to hear it. Get it to them first, okay? Because some people they think that they have a nice job and everything is secure for them right now, and oh, I got the education, I got my 401k, I got all my stuff secure, and so I'm good. I'm over here, I'm not bothering nobody, they're not bothering me. But see, if you don't stand with something, you're gonna fall for anything, or you're gonna fall and be buried by yourself. And so we're giving you this information, and these people, they don't have any filters. There's no filter. So what are you planning to do to protect you and yours if there are no filters? So how are you positioning yourself to be able to move around, to be safe, to stay on top? How are you positioning yourself to do that? Because and I want to be careful. It's not that we are promoting hate speech or things like that, but facts are facts. Now, if you see a continued thing happening over and over again over a period of years, it's been 53 years since Martin Luther King. 53 years, that's only a year younger than me. So I was born just before he was out of here. And it's still the same. And not only that, you have descendants of immigrants that's mad because they feel like they're being treated unfairly when they didn't feel anything about how we were treated when they came. It wasn't about none of that. So it's never going to be about you. We told you that. We told you in the first 100 days you was going to find out, and it's been less than that. We told you, and it's not even official that the president has been sworn in yet. So the first 100 days really hasn't started. They have preliminarily started letting you know ain't nothing happening for you. Ain't nothing happening. And I was thinking about when Joe Biden was being the pimp. And I was thinking about this song that was out, I don't know, it might have been about 14 years ago by Lil Flip. And it's called Use a Trick. And this is what you've been tricked. You're being tricked. You're like a trick because your resources are used. Your intellectual property is used. You're used and then tossed aside, and you're not saying nothing about it. You didn't demand nothing, but you gave your vote. Did you give it in good faith? You gave it in good faith based on what? Based on previous actions. You gave your vote in faith. You didn't ask and you didn't demand. Bump asking at this point. These people are coming to tear down what was built on our backs and we were never recognized for, but was built on our backs. They coming to tear it down, and they're going to take your life in the process of you getting away. So what you going to do? But you know why? See, once jellybackness has been established, people do anything they want to do. Once they say you're not going to do nothing, they'll come up, slap you in the head, slap you in the back of the neck. They'll come up and do anything. Come up. Hey, how you doing there? Hey, how you doing there? They will patronize you. They'll do anything because they see you as weak, powerless, indecisive, and with no chutzpah to take control of anything. So these people are not covering their faces. You know why? Because this is serious for them. They saying this is the final frontier. We're not going to cover our face because this is what we believe, and we plan on making it happen. We don't plan on failing. This is not a mission that we plan on failing. So we're going to show our face. Yeah, I'm in politics. Yeah, I'm a police officer. I'm a police chief. Yeah, I'm a school teacher. Yeah, I'm a college professor. Yeah, and I'm showing my face because this is what I believe. And you want to know what else that means? That means they got the strength. That means that they have confidence in the strength that they have. So now what are we as American blacks going to do? We're going to keep on debating, keep on closing our ear every time you turn on a broadcast like this. You flip right out of it. Everything got to be. It's something mentally wrong. And I'm going to say this and I'm done. It's something mentally wrong or slow about somebody who all they want to be is entertained. All you want to be is entertained. You want to be entertained. You want your senses to the lights. You want to laugh. You just want to be entertained. Something is wrong with that when you're not paying attention to realities.
Let's keep moving with the memes. Just because, this ties right in. Just because a thing entertains you, tastes good to you,
Wow.
feels good to you, invites you in, looks good to you, doesn't mean it's good for you. Walk in higher discernment, wisdom, and purpose this year. Walk in higher discernment, wisdom, and purpose this year. All right? Let's keep moving on the memes, right? A little distraction here. A little distraction. Always have to have distraction. Look at this. Look at this. And what does the meme say? You go in your cousin's refrigerator to get something. What you getting?
Wow, that's a bunch of meat in there. It looks like a bunch of pork.
Looks like a lot of outdated stuff. But what you getting? What you getting? Broham. Okay. This one comes from a comedian. Her name is Queen Dina. All right? Comedian, right? And you see that the caption reads, first time making cornbread. How did I do? Right.
That's funny.
Right. Yeah, you know. So I thought that was funny. I bring that up. Cornbread. Interesting. Cornbread, Earl and Me. Have you ever seen that movie? Cornbread, Earl and Me.
We saw that the Miles Drive-In.
Oh yeah, early Lawrence Fishburne. Here we go. I would advise you to take your life back. Shouldn't have trusted the system with it in the first place. I would advise you to take your life back. Shouldn't have trusted it shouldn't have trusted the system with it in the first place. All right? Very interesting. All these line up. All right. Here's something, another meme from Boyce Watkins. Politics makes strange bedfellows. What does he say? All Trump supporters aren't racist. That's as silly as saying you're a racist for supporting Joe Biden, who incarcerated more black men than any president in recent American history. Let's go back again. Let's drill this home. It's very important. You did not vote against racism by putting in racism. Okay? All Trump supporters aren't racist. That's as silly as saying you're a racist for supporting Joe Biden, who incarcerated more black men than any president in recent history. Racism is bipartisan. Both parties have racism in them. It's silly to say otherwise. So I want to tell you, Joe Manchin, who is a blue dog Democrat, that's those conservative Democrats. You know, they say it's 50-50, and then Democrats are all going to vote for it, and then then Kamala, to be kind, will be the tie-breaking vote because all the Republicans are going to say no, all the Democrats will. You know what? There are going to be some Democrats that cross over the line when it comes to talking about reparations or something that comes about some of the money. They're going to say, well, that's not fiscally conservative. They're going to be jumping the line. And you think that you are going to see something. Racism is bipartisan. Both parties have racist and racism in them. It's silly to think or say otherwise. Next meme here. All right. This one comes from Nina Turner. She is from originally Cleveland, Ohio, and she's running for that particular seat of the person that we talked about who was once mayor of Warrensville. And, you know, I had to write the letter. We've talked about that, right? It's going to be a disaster. It's going to be a disaster. Okay, here we go. So this is what Nina Turner says. She shoots straight from the hip. Lawmakers are calling on us to unify, but with whom? There can be no unity with seditionists, no unity with white supremacists, no unity with paramilitary extremists. We can't just turn the page. Instead, we need full accountability. Impeachment is the least we can do, but real unity will require us to embrace the future of our multiracial working class democracy. The future of our multiracial working class democracy. Now at the bottom, everything sounds gravy until we get to, but real unity will require us to embrace the future of our multiracial working class democracy. I'm gonna leave that right there for everybody. You can figure that out. You can figure that out for yourself. Everything was gravy until we got there. Lawmakers are calling on us to unify, but with whom? There can be no unity with seditionists, no unity with white supremacists, no unity with paramilitary extremists. We can't just turn the page. Instead, we need full accountability. Impeachment is the least we can do, but real unity will require us to embrace the future of our multiracial working class democracy. The last part I'll leave that for y'all to decipher. I won't go into detail on that, okay? I mean, you know, talk it to nauseam sometime. Okay. So this one goes right along with what's happening in the government. Now, who has seen that movie, No Country for Old Men? People who have seen that movie know who this character is. So this is why this meme is so potent. If you have never seen it, I suggest that you watch No Country for Old Men. When the government is $22 trillion in debt and has the audacity to give you a credit score. When the government is $22 trillion in debt and has the audacity to give you a credit score. If you don't know who that character is, I suggest you watch No Country for Old Men, and you will see why that meme is so potent. Okay. Now, earlier in the week we talked about Cleopatra and the Ptolemaic period. The Ptolemaic period of Egypt, right? And we said that when they're studying that period, they are studying themselves. But we have to go back. We have to go back here. This is a reconstruction of a queen from Africa. To the left is the reconstruction. To the right is an actual bust that was untampered with. And then there's the mummified version of the woman, and they reconstructed her face. And as you see, Queen Tai was a beautiful woman, and you see many American black women who look like that today. Reconstruction of the beautiful face, Queen Tai, wife of King Amenhotep III and mother of King Akhenaten, right? Now, look up King Amenhotep and tell me what dynasty that was, Tanya. Tell me what dynasty that was. Because she is King Amenhotep and Queen Tai are the father and mother of King Akhenaten, right? So tell me that how far back that dynasty goes. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay. Okay, so it's Amenhotep III from C 1386 to 1353 BCE was the ninth king of the 18th dynasty of Egypt. He is also known as Netmas Atre and Amenophis III, Amenhotep II, and Amenhotep, all of which were related to the concept of the god Amun being satisfied, or, as in the case of Netma Atre, with the idea of satisfied balance, Ma'at. He was the son of the pharaoh Thutmosis IV and his lesser wife, Mutemiwa, husband of Queen Tai, father of Akhenaten, and grandfather of Tutankhamun and Ankhenaten. His greatest contribution to Egyptian culture was in maintaining peace and prosperity, which enabled him to devote his time to the arts. Many of the most impressive structures of ancient Egypt were built under his reign, and through military campaigns, he not only strengthened the borders of his land, but expanded them. He ruled Egypt and Tai for 38 years until his death, and was succeeded by Amenhotep IV, later known as Akhenaten.
Tutankhamun is King Tut, the boy king. Tutankhamun is the boy king. So, when we're arguing about Egypt, the earlier dynasties, B, C, E, are the dynasties that we should be talking about. 3000, such a BC, are the dynasties that we should be speaking about and talking about and making movies about. See, the Ptolemaic period, that's where most of these Egyptian movies are being made around, is that period. Or it's just something totally fictitious that they're making, right? But in actuality, these are the dynasties that we should be looking for Spike to do. If John Singleton was still alive, we would say John Singleton. All the various black directors, even Denzel Washington. This would be the dynasties that we would want to see, because as you see this woman and you see her in all her glory, you see that the reconstruction of who she was matches totally to the bust that was made of her 3000 BCE. You understand? So these are the dynasties that made Egypt great. By the time you get to Cleopatra, it is the degradation and the destruction of the dynasty, of the last dynasties, that show the destruction, the degradation of what once was the sexualization, because they were Greeks, right? So it's very important that you know what you argue for. It's very important. You argue for this. You don't argue for the Ptolemaic period. What you got to say to that?
It's so very important to know our history. And what's funny is that it would seem, as it were, not knowing history is just as bad as in your religious studies. You even have to know history to know how those came about. It's far gone as the time where we're just following things blindly in blind faith. Even God doesn't require blind faith. I know they told you that. God doesn't require that, though. He created you with the sense that he has. So to follow something blindly and without reason is illogical. So that's why you get mad when somebody challenges your belief system. You get angry, you get upset because you equate that with being called stupid or ignorant. Nobody's saying that. Everybody had to start somewhere. We were all born into this matrix. But you have to be willing to listen, especially when the facts are being broken down to you, where things have manifested and things have not manifested in according to your belief system. So, and we have to do that across the board. We have to examine everything we were ever taught. We have to examine everything, things that we were taught and things that we didn't get from our inner spirit, which is God. Anything that we were taught from the outside, we were born into this matrix. We were taught how to live as civilized human beings within this context and frame. We went to school for 12 years to learn how to live in society. Then we had post-secondary education, some of us, and things like that. And it's all to keep the machine moving in the direction. So here we are with life-changing things that are on the table. And you tell me how all of that training and everything that you've got, besides that which you are being waken up to, tell me how any of the rest of that benefited you. Think about it. How has it benefited you? Unless you're just purely superficial, how did it benefit you? How is it going to help you navigate through these times? How's it going to help you navigate? Or are you going to spend time around like-minded individuals like yourself, and you're going to keep wearing these masks like you know something you don't know, and then you're going to be sitting there as a sitting ducks? And see, as far as I'm concerned, it's not that I don't care about you, but I just remember the parable of the 10 virgins. It's like, hey, they kept their lamps trimmed and burning. They kept their oil full. They kept what they needed that would suffice for their individual journeys. And here come the five. 5 of them did that. And here come the 5. They've been playing around. They've been, doing the things that they wanted to do, not paying attention, just having a false sense of security. Now reality sets in. We got to make this journey. Everybody got to make the journey. Everybody's on the journey. We just realized we own it. We ain't prepared. We don't have no oil. Can we borrow some of yours? I've said it before. You don't get none of mine. Now, I hope that while you're on your journey, you can scrap stuff up. You can scrape some oil up on the side of the road or out of a tree or whatever it is as you going along. But I'm not giving you none of mine. I work for mine. I put in time for mine. I went in for mine. I'm not going to give you my oil. I hope I see you at the end of the journey. But if I don't, that's on you. That's not on me. And I have no responsibility towards it. Not at all. So we're giving you this information so that you can better position yourself. I mean, if you're going to just sit there and take it, or you're not going to share it, you're not going to share it out with nobody, you just going to sit there and listen to what are these people talking about and who are they anyway? Spending time discounted. But if I said I had 12 degrees behind my name, and by the way, you can buy degrees online now. You do know that, right? You can buy degrees and I can have all kinds of DDSs, and I could be a dentist, a medical doctor, a psychologist, and everything all rolled up into one, and have all those things behind my name with a nice photo professionally taken in my business suit looking like the president of the United States, and I am a fraud. So, I mean, come on, man. It has to be something in your inner spirit where, come on, man. I just thought of that. It has to be something in your inner spirit that says, it has to be something that catches your attention and says, I'm sensing a truth in this information. I'm sensing truth because of the passion is there. Do you don't think we don't have? D is multi-talented. I am multi-talented. I was working on music last night and listening to it this morning. D got so many different things. He's so talented. He didn't put some talents aside on the back burner to let the younger people come along and have their shine, because he can still be shining. That's how much talent he has. So we have things. We don't have to sit here for 2 hours every day, and the hours that it takes for him to put this production together and get information, and us to get information, just to come here and just to have nothing to do. Our egos are not like that. We don't, sitting in front of the camera is not a big deal. I'd rather look at myself in the mirror. Actually, I gotta keep a mirror on my desk. I'm vain in that way. I look in the mirror several times a day. So, hey, come on, man.
We gotta talk that Caucasian Negro whisperer jive. Come on, man. We talk that jive. Come on, man. I say what I say, and I do what I do, and I do what I do. Come on, man. I gotta talk like Joe Biden. Come on, man. Miss Ash says, very true. This is why so many perish for lack of knowledge. We need to read, study, and research the truth and learn the truth. Which brings us to our last meme of the show, which ties in, really. You telling kids after high school to go to college or the military. I'm telling mine, skilled trade beats both with less debt. You telling kids after high school to go to college or the military. I'm telling mine, skilled trade beats both with less debt. So let's deconstruct this for a minute, right? So a lot of people do say, well, you need to go to college or go to the military. Well, let's look at the word debt for a minute, right? When you're in the military, you're in a bubble, but your body is paying a debt, because for them to do that for you, your body becomes their property. That means that you can be in Afghanistan or you can be in Iraq drinking water and jet fuel together. Some of the people who came back, well, one person that came back from Iraq told us that they were doing because the water wasn't good, and so to purify it, you had to drink jet fuel and the water.
What?
One big experiment. It was just an experiment. They said they shot them with different vaccines over there, and some people would have bad reactions. But that's part of your debt. College is one big debt. And they're only talking about, the progressive wing of the Democrat Party was talking about forgiving the debt altogether. Joe Biden is proposing just $10,000 off the debt. Seems like he cares for you. But anyway, I'm telling mine, skilled trade beats both with less debt. So we show you examples of debt, right? But a skilled trade will, especially if you apprentice young, if you start to apprentice at age 14, supplementing your junior high, your middle school and your going into your high school years, you can come out with a certificate and test out. Or if you're going to a trade school, it's usually a 2-year situation, right? And so, what do you think built the pyramids? Do you think it was a college degree, the military, or the artisans that knew the trades of bricklaying, how to create brick, those who knew how to survey roads? That's a trade, right? How did they know how to do that? How did the Hoover Dam get built? Was it built from college people, or was it built from people who had... How was Washington, D.C. even designed? Was it from someone who went to college, or someone who had a natural ability because it came through his line to know how to draw out blueprints? And who built the Capitol? Who built Washington, D.C.? Was it people who had went to college, or were they people who were brought over here because they knew trades already, knew how to build, they knew how to survey roads, they knew how to lay the necessary to make a civilization? So the faster that people can get into trades and get out, the better. Get in, get out, apply your trade. Your hands may be calloused, but guess what? You will have applied a trade, and you will have built something. And it leads back to American blacks learning something that we lost, right? So people, this is Friday. This is Freakin Friday. We got 25 minutes left, but we have completed the program, so there's no need to go any further. Is there anything else that you would like to say before we close out?
Yeah, I'm hopeful that I tend to be a person that in whatever environment I'm in, I'm always bringing, it seems like I might be bringing the negative, but I have to, I mean, we can no longer afford to walk in dreamland and be in la la land, like Alice in Wonderland. We can't be like that. So, I'm tasked with helping people to see and to discern and to rightly apply and things like that. And so, that being said, we have on Sunday, What's the Point? Is my broadcast that comes on Sunday, and you can catch that on Spotify. And that's where I break down and expound in the scriptures with you. I always ask you to bring your notebooks, your pens, your Bibles. I like a hard copy Bible when I'm studying and following along with people. Always, 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 and that, whether it's a spiritual type of thing or whatever it is, take notes and go back and research. Never allow, even though I'm giving you sound doctrine as taught by the Spirit of God, you suppose that God in you is supposed to be able to verify that. All right? Don't look to people to spoon feed you doctrine and spoon feed you, because when you stand before God in that day, you're going to be doing that on your own. You're not going to be standing with me. You're not going to be standing with your pastor. You ain't going to be standing with Prophet Huckabuck. You ain't going to be standing with none of them people. And so you're not going to be able to say, well, Prophet Huckabuck told me this. And so, well, no, because he was off. Did you know he was a rejected prophet? Did you know how to discern whether God was with him as a prophet or with her as a prophet? Or were you just into the sensationalism of the delivery? See, we want too much entertainment. And so I said that to say, even when I'm teaching you or anybody is teaching you anything, have your notebook out, jot down. If it's a word you don't know, broaden your vocabulary, write the word down. Write it down and go look it up, and then increase your vocabulary that day. You're not too old to, it's prideful, and you stunt your own growth when you stop learning. Or when you get, instead of you taking the attitude, oh, you using all them big words. I've had people tell me that. I've had people be insulted because I was smart. And I was not trying to disparage them. It's just, listen, I've been communicating like this since I was a kid. That's why I had to be tested. I've been communicating ahead of my time and in vocabularies that was beyond my years for years. So, you know, so I'm not putting on an air when I'm talking like I'm talking. It just is what it is. I'm just doing me. All right? So keep growing. Take notes. Go back and study to show yourself approved unto God, not unto man, unto God, that you may be a workman and need not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. That means there's a wrong division of the word of truth. That's what gives you error, when it's divided wrongly. All right. So on my broadcast, I give you scripture, I give you context, and I give you life application. And God, once you hear it, you're accountable. Once you hear it, you're accountable. So if you didn't know, which, you know, I'm gonna just, you know, I'm gonna give a stretch and a pass on that. You didn't know, but you're gonna know when you listen to my broadcast, and then you are accountable because God made sure you knew. All right. So that I'm excited about that. That comes on Sunday at 9. It's 9:30 a.m.
It's 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon. And then, of course, Spotify, they can catch it anytime. So catch it on Spotify. We'll have the links up in You Found the Spot FB group page. Make sure that you join the group page. You know, our membership is growing. We appreciate you. Miss Ash says, all a natural ability, right? So look, people, we want to say, $ you found the spot. $ you found the spot on Cash App. Go over there and drop a few dollars on the Cash App, right? And we will definitely show our appreciation by, you know, mentioning you on the show. Thank you for appreciating us so much. $ YOU found the spot. All one word, right? $. Don't forget, coming soon is the Spot hat, snap bag. You got the t-shirts in black and green. Then we have the mugs. That's right, the mugs. And then, of course, we have 2 styles of masks to pick from, the green and then the black. You found the spot, right? So, people, we have enjoyed bringing you this Martin Luther King Day, you know, celebration on Freakin Fridays, #observations TFR, episode 77, right? We have enjoyed bringing you the show because the siege reckoning is that the siegers have to be put down, right? for those reasons that we gave. Just like Martin Luther King would educate, we brought information for you to have knowledge to go on ahead and do your research and say, hey, yeah, something's not right, and we need to work on putting these people down, knowing who your friends are, knowing what's happening, right? So this being the first time that we were able to celebrate Martin Luther King, because we go 5 days a week, we appreciate you, right, tuning in. We appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate being able to bring the show to you Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. And what else can I say? Go back, binge watch this week, okay? Get your notebooks, get the information. This week was jam-packed with information. Did you know about A. Philip Randolph? Did you know the connection between his March on Washington and the March on Washington in 1963? Did you even know? No, because they break information apart so you won't know. You have to put the dots together of what's going on. There's something different going on with the people who were that sieged on the Capitol, the Caucasians that sieged on the Capitol on last Wednesday. Something different about it because they were not wearing masks, which means that this is in full throttle. We are in the Civil War. We told you that last year during what was happening with the anarchists and the accelerationists during the so-called protest for George Floyd that got co-opted. And they said, he said, vote for Biden, and then we still don't have a bill yet. Will Martin Luther King be standing for this? Or like he said, where do we go from here? Know who your true friends are. Know who your true coalitions are. If they're not true to American blacks, he didn't say American blacks, but I say American black. If it's not true to American black politics, American black advancement, then they are not truly your friends. If they question what you say about American black politics, American black advancement, they are not your friends. And why would you hang around anyone that's not your friend? Because Martin Luther King got his throat shot out for it. Shout out for pushing to see American black people truly take their rightful place in society without all the bigotry, without all the racism. And so, as we close out on this show, again, we appreciate being able to bring the show to you. We appreciate you watching. Make sure that you go back and tag your friends in it. It will be up on Spotify to listen to. All of them are up on Spotify. The link is in the You Found the Spot group page on FB. And so, people, until next, can you believe it's been another week, 2 weeks, solid weeks in January already? Wow, February already here. In the larger scheme of things, if you don't have things working, which you're supposed to be working by January, by March, in between January and March, the summer is over. Just giving you information there, so get that working. So we will see you again Monday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern on another great episode of #Observations TFR with Crazy D, your host, and my special guest host, my sister Tanya M. Congress. Happy Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Day.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about your movie, why I made a curator's pick of the Hollywood Fringe Festival. Community, heart, you're doing it.
Observations TFR 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday.